What's going on, everybody? This is Barry Fields at Life with the Fields, and I'm coming back to you with another Tech Talk video. Today, I want to talk to you just a little bit about f-stop, aperture, f-stop, either or. You'll hear both of those sayings within the photography industry. It is referring to the aperture that is within the lens that moves and it opens up or it closes down to just a small teeny tiny hole that lets light in through the sensor, and it also deals with the focus area. I'm not one of those people to get into the super technical details of how it works and how it operates within the lens, but I can tell you, and what I want to show you today is how it affects your images. I'm sure some of you have wondered, how do I get the blurry background in my images? Or, for me, myself, when I was a beginner photographer, I kept wondering why some people in my images were in focus while some of the people in the image were out of focus. When I would take pictures of families or, my children or anything that I was photographing in general. And it was because I did not fully understand how the f-stop or the aperture played a role in the image, and that was part of the reason why my images were showing up, some blurry, some not. And so I want to just show you all just a little bit about how the f-stop works within your images. One of the things that I thought I had to do to get the best images up and coming in the photography field is that I always had to shoot at the lowest f-stop that was on the lens. What I mean by that is, if I have a take for instance, this is a 28 to 75 Tamron zoom lens, and the lowest f-stop that you can shoot at on this lens is f2.8 all the way through the zoom range. Well, when I first got this lens, I used to shoot at f2.8 for every single image that I took. And one thing that I found out as I grew and learned more in the photography field is that shooting in the lowest f-stop is not always necessary to get the best quality images. And sometimes it can even hurt your images in the way that they come out. And so I have a couple of examples here on my laptop here. I'm going to turn over to the screen recording here real quick, and I'm going to show you how things work and just some examples of how to use your f-stop. Right. So here I have just a couple of images here. I have a couple of images of some things some families and pictures of people that I've taken over the course of my years in photography. And this is one of the first images that I want to show you of this couple. It was a beautiful day outside. This baby girl, she was about 4 months old, and they wanted to have some family photos taken. This image I took at a f3.5 on a Tamron 70 to 180 f2.8 lens, and the image, as far as the colors and everything, turned out really great. But because I shot at a 3.5, if you notice, the mom and the baby, they're pretty sharp and in focus here. That's where the focus point is, somewhere in this area. But look at the husband. You see the husband is just slightly out of focus. He's slightly out of focus. And so because he is out of focus, now most people, for the most part, they wouldn't be able to tell, your average person. But from a photographer's perspective, this is what separates the beginner photographers from your intermediate and professional photographers. And so this image right here, because it was shot at a lower f-stop, these two are in focus, but the husband is not in focus. And then on the next image here, boosted the f-stop just a little bit. It was shot at an f5.6 or f4.5, excuse me, but they're still in focus and he's still out of focus. The reason being is because the f-stop is not high enough to be able to capture him and in focus. Because the lower the f-stop, and this is a principle that you all need to understand and learn, is that the lower the f-stop, the shallower the depth of field is. And because the depth of field is shallower, whatever is not on the same focus plane field, what I mean by that is here's probably where the focus point was, somewhere in here. This is the sharpest point in the image. And so anything that's not on the same playing field, meaning like if they were standing right next to each other straight across here, then all of three of them will be completely intact sharp focus because they're all on the same playing field. But because the baby is sitting just a little bit in front, the baby's pretty sharp, but not as sharp as mom is in the face. And then the husband is not sharp at all, but his face is really soft and it's a little bit blurry. It's kind of blending in with the background. And then if you notice, the background all behind them is completely blown out of focus. That's where you get your blurry backgrounds come from. And it's all because the f-stop is not high enough to be able to capture him and put him in focus and have everything in focus. Now, if I would have shot this at about an f5.6 or f7, then he would have been completely in focus. All three of them would have. The background would have been a little bit more in focus, but you still would have gotten a blurry background. Most people want the blurry backgrounds in their images, but you have to understand that when it comes to shooting people, you have to make sure that you account for if they're not on the same plane of field, how many people are in the image, and then you want to work on your f-stop. Getting it to a place where everybody is in focus. And so here's another image right here. This was shot at 4.5, which was the same one as this one, 4.5. But because they're kind of all on the same playing field, just about same plane of field, just about when it comes to where the focus point is. The focus point is right here on the baby, as she is the sharpest part of the image, clearly in focus. Mom is a little bit closer to the same plane of field as the baby, and then you have the husband that is close enough to be able to get quite a bit of him in focus, but then you have some out of focus areas like right in here that's kind of falling off into the background. But for the most part, all three of them are in pretty good focus. I probably could have shot that at about an f5.6, and that would have gotten all three of them in complete focus. And so that's that. This image actually worked out just a little bit better than the others because they were close to the plane of field of where the focus point was put. Okay, so here's an image here where this was shot on a Sony 85 millimeter f1.8, which is a very shallow depth of field, and it gets you a very blurry background when you shoot at its lowest f-stop, which is 1.8. Here's where it will work. Okay, it will work when you have one subject in the image, and you see where everything behind me is completely blown out, and I am the focus of the image. This image was taken in Seattle. As me and my wife traveled there last May, back in May of 2020. That is where my wife is from. She's born in Tacoma, but we traveled to Seattle just to visit because it's not that far away. But here's where this image actually, the low f-stop actually works. This is an image of me and my beautiful wife here, as we had just got done with a business video call a business video call with some clients of ours, and we decided to take a picture. This was posted on our social media. Now, if you notice, both of us are completely in focus. Both of us are completely in focus, but we're really sharp. The eyes attack sharp. You can see both of us really clear, but this was shot at an f2.2. This is going back to what I had said about the plane of field. Because both of us are sitting exactly in the same spot, just straight across from each other, we're on that same plane of field to where no matter where the focus point is, whether it would have been on myself or on her, then both of us would still be in focus because we are on the same plane of field. This is where it can work if you want to shoot at a low f-stop. If you want to shoot at a low f-stop and you want to get each person in focus. If I would have been behind her, then I would have been out of focus and she would have been in focus, and that would not have worked. But because we are on the same plane of field, then we are both in focus. So that is just a couple of examples of how the Aperture works. I will be coming back with more videos and some live tutorials on how to use the Aperture properly. For those of you that are wanting to learn, comment in the comment sections down below some of the things that you may struggle with and some situations and scenarios that you would like to see where the proper f-stop will be used. I will be more than happy to try to replicate what you are wanting and what you're looking for, to see if I can help you any way possible. All right, until next time, God bless.